Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the OK Grognard Show. It is Friday, September 4th, 2020, 9:30 a.m. Central in beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Well, we've been working on building adventures using the 1E AD&D DMG Appendix A random dungeon generator. And this is part 3 of that, as we look at each little section of it and see what we have to discover. We left off last time when we got to table 5, chambers and rooms, shape and size. As usual, D20s are the order of the day for their tables, so you're not going to have to keep switching back and forth between D20s and other dice. My favorite drink cozy from my buddy Heath. He runs the Antipodean D20 Facebook page. That's the Down Under Thunder Boy, the Wonderkin from Down Underkin. How's that? That's his new nickname. He's a great guy, and he is as enthusiastic a gamer as you will ever meet worldwide. He's a wonderful person. He's down in Adelaide, and we hope that he and all his gaming buddies are staying safe and healthy. We hope. He's been up to Gary Con. We hope that he'll make it back up again someday. So we wish him all the best. And we know that he's being careful. He has a wife and a boy. And we know that he's taking it easy down there. Hey, did he post it last night or earlier today? There's this really cool. Oops, that's not what I want. There's this really cool puzzle that Crooked Staff Terrain Chris posted in his Patreon. I don't know if you're Patreon followers of Crooked Staff CSP. Used to be Crooked Staff Publishing or Publications. Now it's Crooked Staff Terrain, and that's more in keeping with his focus. He does textures, dungeon tiles. He does textures for 2.5D crafted terrain. Just all sorts of wonderful stuff. So go look around for Crooked Staff. And tell him Mark sent you. You don't have to tell him Mark sent you. Just go. Just go. Enjoy. He's got so much great stuff. It's just wonderful. And speak of the devil, Ink Dweller 8, Crooked Staff, how you guys doing? Good to see you. I was just mentioning you, Chris, in the stream here. Is that new puzzle? What did I do now? You posted that puzzle that you used in the playtest that was so fantastic. Hey, Larry's here. Good to see you, Larry. We're talking about Crooked Staff Chris's puzzle that he just posted. He had used it in a playtest. It's a very cool word puzzle using tiles, and he created one you can print out and build into a physical puzzle for the tabletop to use with your pals. There's like a whole bunch of letter tiles, and then there's a pattern, and you have to put them in so that they fit and make sense. And of course there are clues. There are 4 riddles. There are 4. It's like a box puzzle, And the clues tell you or hint at what the 4 words are that you have to spell out. Is that strictly a Patreon thing at this point? I've sent people to the Patreon, Chris, but if that's something you've shared wider, I should put a link in the show notes later, because puzzles are such a wonderful part of RPGing and dungeon crawling in particular, and old school dungeon crawling especially. So hopefully people can go and join the Patreon and get that for themselves, along with all sorts of other goodies. Chris has been a workhorse he was doing these dungeon tiles in the early mid 2000s over on posting regular on EN World, and that's when I first ran into him and began admiring his work then. And he was just doing regular 2-dimension dungeon tiles at that point. He had just really started off with those, and he was and they were some of the nicest. They're beautiful for a couple of reasons. One, the color scheme for them was generally grayscale, so you didn't have to have a color printer to print them off, and they'd still look nice, which is tough. And I'm not taking anything away from guys like Ed Burrell, who does those wonderful skeleton key tiles, or any of the other people. Tom Tullis did all those great buildings, papercraft buildings that you put together, and a lot of those are obviously color because you need wood and thatch and grass, and other colors doesn't work as well. But dungeon tiles, really, if you do them right, because they can be in grayscale, you can really make some great stuff. It'll be on YouTube when it's done, and pay what you want on drive-through. Yeah, that's the other thing. Chris has all this wonderful stuff up on drive-through, and most of it is up there is pay what you want. But every time you grab something, throw them a buck. Throw 5 things in a cart and put them in for $1 a piece. They're well worth more than that. You're really you're throwing them a tip for doing such fine work as what you're doing at $1, but it's really nice. Or join his Patreon, because then you won't feel guilty when you download his stuff and you put a 0 in the box. Pay what you want, because you will have permission through Patreon to do that guilt-free. Just not finished it yet. Well, you got to be pretty close, because man, what a grand puzzle that was. I got to sit in on a playtest, and I'll tell you, he undersells himself too as a dungeon master, because this guy Chris has got it going on. Great descriptions, great adventure, great fun all around. Myself and 3 other Patreon supporters got to sit in on a playtest of an adventure he's working on that included that puzzle, and it was a treat. It was a real treat. Well, I'll tell you, between you and Larry, I've been spending a lot of airtime stroking your egos here this week. Deservedly so. So there you go. But just so much good stuff out there in Gamerland, being created by so many wonderful people. And I'll tell you what, we're almost 10 minutes in. I better get cracking on this. Adventure building episode. And looking at these chambers, shape and size D20, as I said, roll for shape, size, and exits. Then contents, treasure, and how the latter is contained, if applicable. 1d20, you got 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6, 7 to 8, 9 to 10, 11, 12, 13. So you get into the rectangular rooms, you have a little more frequency. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, unusual shape and size. So you've got a 15% chance of something a little crazier. Now remember, if you came here by way of something that said check the size of the chamber, you're looking at the left-hand column. If you got check the size, shape, and area of a room, look at the right. Those are generally smaller, as you can see. But there's also different shapes to them, of course, because the sizing is different. You get a little elongated one way or the other. But it kind of goes back and forth. Notice you get a 10 by 10, 20 by 20. That you have on both sides. And notice 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the left on the chamber is all 20 by 20. So your first 20% is going to be a 20 by 20. But because they wanted to break up the right-hand column into 2 different rows, you've got 2 rows duplicating themselves on the left. Same 2. Also, I should say, for a chamber on 9, 10, and 11 through 13. So you've got a 25% chance at 20 by 30. And that's about it for the duplication. Look also, here, I should move this over where I can work off of this chart a little better here. We'll keep it this size here. Maybe we'll bigify it a little more. We don't need too much real estate for me in the lower right hand corner there. Unusual shape. So 18, 19, 20, unusual shape and size. See subtables below. A, unusual shape, rolls separately for size. Circular, triangular, trapezoidal, odd shaped. Let's go back. Circular. 1 to 5 has a pool. See table 8A and C if appropriate. 6 to 7 has a well. 8 to 10 has a shaft. And 11 to 20 just normal. So you've got some other features that can be in a circular room. Notice too for odd shape, 12 to 13, you've got a double asterisk. Draw what shape you desire or whatever will fit in the map. It is a special shape if desired. So you can make something that's shaped like a figure 8, infinity sign, whatever. We've got oval, hexagonal, octagonal, and a cave. I love these ongoing battles here. Isn't that great? Alright, where are we at? We want to do this, so that we can do this, so that we can do 265 on the size again, and bring her down to the left-hand size. Unusual size. About 500 square feet. About 900. 1,300, 2,000, 27, 3,400, and 15 to 20. Roll again, add result to 9 and 10 above. Another 15, 20, repeat the process, doubling 9 and 10 above, and so on. So they want you to add 2,000 feet after rolling again, or add 4,000, or add 6,000, so you can keep making it bigger and bigger, but each time you're adding a straight up 2,000 square feet. That might be a make it easier on the math situation, or it might be, because I mean you could roll again and add any 2, right? But there you go. That's the way they decided to do it. Number of exits. Hey, morning Lexfire, how are you? Number of exits, always a D20. Now, this has a stipulation that if the room is up to 600 square feet or over 600 square feet, it'll have fewer or more number of exits. for these first several. And then up to 1200, up to 1600, or over either of those. And notice the up to, you've got 0. So this is, if it's a really big room, you roll a 10 to 12, and it's even 1100 feet. 0 exits, except check once per 10 feet for secret doors. See Table 5D, footnote. All right. 5D, exit location. Do you want to look at this footnote down here for that? We'll get right there in a minute. Another asterisk here. 1 to 7, opposite wall. This is the locations of the exits. Opposite wall is where you're, as of where you're entering. Left wall, right wall, same wall. If passage or door is indicated in a wall where a space immediately beyond the wall already has been mapped, then the exit is either a secret door, 1 to 5, or a one-way door, 6 to 10, such that you would not have seen it on the other side, or it is in the opposite direction, 11 to 20. Pop it on the far side. So we can just move that around. This is true too then with those secret doors. If a place indicates a secret door and this is a situation where there's something already on the other side based on the mapping that's been done, then you could put the exit possibly in the opposite direction. Alrighty. Exit direction. Go out that door. Do you go straight ahead? Do you go to 45 degrees to the left or right? The exit will be appropriate to existing circumstances, but use the direction before the slash in preference to the other. So this will be to the left generally by default, but if that doesn't work with the map that exists, then make it to the right. Likewise, the opposite here, right and then left. Chamber or room contents. Now we're getting to the good stuff, guys. Chamber or room contents. 1 to 12 empty. And you're rolling a 12-sided on this, so it's never going to be anything in any room ever. Oh no, we're rolling a 20-sider. So 13 to 14, monster only. Determined from Appendix C, random monster encounters, dungeon encounter matrix. 15 to 17, monster and treasure. Table 5G below. 18, special. Contains a stairway. Up 1 level, 1 to 5. Up 2 levels, 7 to 8. Down 1 level, 9 to 14. Down 2 levels, 15 to 19. Or down 3 levels, 2 flights of stairs and a slanting passageway, 20. So we got all sorts. A trick or a trap can show up from table 7 if you roll a 19. On a 20, there's simply a pile of treasure there, folks. 20s are so good in so many ways, but especially on this table. See table 5G. That asterisk comes from this special, and it says, determined by balance of level or put in what you desire. Otherwise, put in stairs as indicated. Uh-oh, that troll is about to eat that dwarf. And his elf friend is too busy firing at the other trolls. Look who's casting a spell. Look who's got a torch. Smart. He's just got his sword. Hope it's magical. Here comes another one. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trolls waylaying this party. There's stairs up to what appears to be some sort of fiery. It looks like there's fire inside this sort of furnace shaped like a skull face. That's scary. Alright, so we've done Chamber of Rune contents. Let's move on up. We're getting into more specifics now, including treasure. Oh, Ink Dweller 8, you're going to be so happy. I wish you could just roll a d20 for me right now and tell me what you got. But this is percentage dice, so you'd have to roll percentage dice. Without monster and with monster are two different columns here. On the right, see how it says take 2 rolls on without monster table and add 10% to the total of each, so it bumps it up a bit on the table. And notice down at the bottom is magic. Roll on the magic items table. So you start off with copper, 1,000 copper pieces per level, and that's level of the dungeon. 1,000 silver pieces per level, 750 electrum pieces per level. Electrum. You know, electrum is something we did not use a lot of. And I'll tell you what, here's another campaign thing of my own. I don't do the 20 to 1 and the 5 to 1. I just do a decimal system. 1 platinum's worth 10 gold, 1 gold is worth 10 silver, 1 silver is worth 10 copper. It's easier for me to keep track of it. It's easier for me to make adjustments. To be honest, as far as the economic system in D&D is concerned, it's all crazy out of the park anyway. Now the default explanation for what's going on with why stuff costs what it costs in the player's handbook in first edition was always, well, you know, once there's adventurers in the area and they're flooding the economy with treasure and such, prices are going to go crazy. Okay, that's fair. And I'm sure it would be true. But that being the explanation, it lends itself to modification. Because if that's the case, then all bets are off. Anything could be anything. So, when I changed over to this sort of decimal 1 to 10, 1 to 10, 1 to 10 dealio, meaning 1 platinum's worth 10 gold is worth 100 silver is worth 1,000 copper, a lot easier to do the bookkeeping for players. And I'll tell you what, even back in the day, people, people didn't know any differently. So doing the bookkeeping was part of the game, and you just did it, but it took time. And it takes time away from doing the actual adventuring. So, well, you may only save a few seconds figuring out the conversion rate if it's simpler than the norm by the book stuff. At the end of the day, a few seconds every 5 minutes or every 10 minutes or a couple of minutes collectively amongst a group every hour over the course of a year-long campaign where you're playing 2 or 3 times a week, it adds up. It's just simpler, it's faster, and let's face it, there's more than a few folks who get confused doing simple math, and they're always going to be interrupting other players and asking them, hey, how much is the thing with the manga? Well, what is that in? Because all I've got is this copper. Now, there is something to be said, old school wise, for the struggle of finding a room with a ton of copper and or silver in it and having to figure out the way to get it back in town. I had a great adventure once, very loosely based on Phantom of the Opera, but it took place deep in a dungeon. many levels down. And the Phantom, of course, was a vampire. I think it was a vampire. Pretty sure it was a vampire. And there was a hellacious battle. He had to battle through all of this undead, even just to get down there into that area where that vampire had his little domain was tough enough. But once you got there, there was undead of many different stripes. Really starting off with skeletons right away, and there were ghouls and zombies, and there were ghasts slipped in. You know, these were higher level characters, so if you didn't throw a ghast in with your ghouls, you know, it wasn't as challenging. And once they finally defeated him, well, they had to figure out a way of getting this giant gold-plated pipe organ, which was the major part of the treasure, up and out of the dungeon. Do you take it or leave it based on weight? Yeah, I hear ya. Sometimes too much copper, you just can't carry it without moving 5 feet a turn, right? Yep, gems and jewelry are always pretty good. Absolutely. Value and weight are as it's said in Great Expectations, portable property. Gems and jewelry. Stuff you can take with you if you gotta flee a crazy situation in town of your own devising, or one imposed upon you by a scurrilous DM. Well, I'll tell you what. I've been teaching you with this treasure, but treasure is like a whole big old section here, including what it's contained in and what it's guarded by and traps and all the rest. So we're going to leave off on this, and we're going to come back and do a part 4 where we get into the treasure. And don't think that's going to end it for us, because don't forget, there are monster tables in here too for how to seed all of these rooms, and we need to spend some time with the other appendices in this when it comes to adventure building, because this is good stuff, and it puts even if you're going to do something just totally off the cuff without looking at any of these tables, having looked at these tables will help expand the number of ideas you get when you're improvisationally building a dungeon of your own. And that is my adventure building advice for the day. So there you go. Anywho, we'll come back next week on Friday, and should be looking at treasure. I don't know. If something comes up between now and then that takes precedent, we may push that back another week. But chances are we'll be right back at this with a part 4. So please do come on back and enjoy being a part of what we like to call the OK Grognard Show. Thank you very much if you're here, and if you're listening, if you're on the Twitch, be sure to follow the channel and chime in on the stream chat, because we keep a little list of everybody who pops in. And when we go to our Cricket staff, I gotta put you up on there, and you in for stopping by today. Who else do we have that stopped by today? Oh yeah, Mr. Larry has come by, so we've got to get him into this. Mr. Follow Me and Die. The wonderful Larry Hamilton. So we'll add him in. We've got Ink Dweller already in there. We've got Lexfire already in there for this week. This is week 22. Did you know that? Anybody was aware of anybody else today? Okay, we're all covered. Humble too. You are humble too. That's so true. That's because you like pie. See what I did there? Because your favorite number is 3.14. Anyway, follow the channel. Say a little something in the stream chat. See you all you guys later. 9:30 a.m. every day. But don't forget, if you're working on it, if you're getting ready to go, and I know Chris is, I think just about everybody here is probably planning on doing virtual Gamehole Con, look towards submitting an event or two. It's always fun. And then get those together also. Tomorrow, GM reviews, rules retrospective on Sunday, weekly news and announcements on Monday, cartography and world building on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we do campaign discussion, GMing tips on Thursday, then back around to building adventures on Friday. If you're catching up with us on YouTube, thank you very much. Please do subscribe, give us a thumbs up on the video, and feel free to leave a comment with some constructive criticism. If you have any for us, we can always make the show a little bit better. Thanks again. Join us again at 9:30 a.m. tomorrow, or the next day, or every day, for the OK Grognard Show from beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Bye-bye.